How to kill warm front bucks, guys. A topic I don't know that I've ever heard anybody talk about. A lot of people talk about waiting for that cold front, waiting for those right conditions. And I understand it, and I definitely think that hunting and waiting for those right conditions is necessary a lot of the time to be able to kill deer. But I do think it's possible. In fact, I know it's possible to kill warm front bucks. How do I know it's possible? 70 to 75% of the deer that I've killed have been killed on warm fronts. So I've had some experience with it. And I think what I've come down to, as far as, I guess, the research and the time put in the woods as to how I'm getting it done, it's actually pretty straightforward, if I had to be honest with you guys. Now, there's apps out there that tell you when to hunt, whether you should hunt, where to hunt, things like that. And those are tools. They should be used in certain scenarios. They should not ever be relied upon 100%. The one thing that should be relied upon 100% is your experience, your time, and ultimately your woodsmanship in the outdoors. So what am I getting at? Warm front, cold front, no matter the front, the deer are always in the woods. And from a biological standpoint, deer do have to get up at certain points throughout the day, whether it's 5 yards, or maybe it's 50 yards. In the back of my head, maybe it's a little bit of an ego thinking that, the ultimate hunter should be able to get in there no matter what, whether it's a warm front or cold front. Regardless, these deer are always there is what I'm getting at. Warm front, cold front, if you have an opportunity to go in and learn and figure it out, you should go in. And I brought up woodsmanship before. So woodsmanship, I think, is a lost art. I think we see a lot of these apps and we use these tools and think, that's how I gotta hunt bucks, or hunt deer in general. I see this on the Outdoor Channel, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. There's a lot of information out there, but until you go out there and figure it out yourself and apply it, you guys, you don't know that it works in your situation, because every situation is different and somebody might be very knowledgeable, and I'm not taking credit away from those people at all, but they might have a certain style and it might not be your style. So that's something that you really have to pick apart. And so something that works for them might not work for you. At the end of the day, woodsmanship. Having woodsmanship is the most important skill that you can have when it comes to killing mature deer on a constant, consistent basis. So what is woodsmanship? Woodsmanship is reading sign, going in the woods, looking at tracks, understanding tracks, the different size of tracks and how that track might belong to a certain deer, or recognizing that track, going in and looking at rub lines. Not just looking at rubs, but looking at the size of the rubs, maybe the height of the rubs, just to distinguish, what caliber of buck you're going after. Reading those rubs, going up and down a rub line, checking if those rubs are double-sided rubs. Double-sided rubs, some of you are saying. A lot of times when I see double-sided rubs, it generally means that I'm on a path that is leading to and from their bed. They're coming and going. They're using both sides of that tree, rubbing, coming and going. So those double-sided rubs generally tend to let me know that, hey, I'm getting close. So if I'm running and gunning, if I'm mobile hunting and I have a stand on my back, as soon as I start seeing double-sided rubs, I'm taking it slow. It might only be 20 more yards that I have to go. It might be 150 yards, but I know that I'm starting to run into some of these signs that are telling me, okay, bucks are using this trail consistently, and they're coming and going. So we're getting close to bedding. The freshness of rubs, understanding what a fresh rub looks like versus what a year-old rub looks like. There's a lot of different, tricks or things that you can learn through being in the woods, through hunting. Reading scrapes, reading sign, looking at browse in certain different parts of the timber and seeing that deer probably are staging in this area, because you see the natural browse on the natural forage. All the forbs and the grasses are nipped. Looking in at the licking branches. A lot of times early season we talk about hunting scrapes. Scrapes don't necessarily get tore up like they do in late October, in September. So what do? I look at those licking branches. You can see those licking branches throughout the timber and see what's getting used. Sometimes they're not pawing the ground. They're not. They're just communicating through that licking branch as a means of communication, see who's in the area, see kind of what's going on. That's how these deer communicate. So you can see that the licking branch, the leaves and everything else are kind of worn away. So it might be a hot scrape come October, but at that time it might only be just the licking branch getting worked. Using all these different skills, I think is a lost art. Like I said, there's a lot of TV shows, a lot of people giving advice. It's easy to get advice out there at the end of the day. So it's a lost art. And I believe if you learn a lot of these tactics and you go out and you put the time in versus sitting on the couch because the app told you to, If you truly don't know where your deer are, basically is what I'm getting at, you should go out and you should figure it out and find them so that you know. Because as I mentioned in other videos, 9 times out of 10, if not more, generally when you think you know where a deer is, you don't. So there's no other way to go in there and find deer than to go and find the deer. And sometimes you have to blow a deer to do that, but then at least you know. You're not banking on an app and hoping for the best. You physically know. You have that knowledge now. So using these tactics, understanding woodsmanship is going to allow you to go in there no matter the weather and go in there and hopefully have success more often. Warm fronts, you can definitely capitalize on killing bucks. Cold fronts, no fronts. Weather is just one of those things that you can't control at the end of the day. And I think that if you really focus on your woodsmanship skills, learning how to read deer sign and becoming an overall better hunter and spending more time in the timber, eventually you can take those skills, put them with those apps, the advice from professional hunters or people with YouTube channels and things like that, and take their word for it. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to put these things together. And I think if you do that, you'll have more success in the woods, even on warm fronts.